You may know my guest. He is a broadcaster himself on these YouTube airways. You can find my guest at a channel called We Are Awake TV. We Are Awake TV seems like he's been doing his thing. Ian has been doing his thing for a while now. He's built up a channel. He's built up a group of listeners. Slowly. Ian, you appear to have done it, let's call it the right way. You built a channel slowly. You don't appear to have purchased your subscribers, which I see a lot of channels doing. You didn't go for the easy fix. Yeah, D'Angelo is pumped up. You kind of did it. You came out, you do your thing. You present your channel. You present your message. And you have a nice little channel over there. Some of my very earliest presentation here on YouTube was on We Are Awake TV, where I kind of what's the word? That kind of built my chops, so to speak, there. One of the very first kind of shows that I would join, panels that I would participate in, was on We Are Awake TV. We've had our history, Ian and I. We've gone through this metaversal experience, as many of us do, and it's been quite a journey for the two of us, man. And Ian took a break. He took a hiatus. 5 months, who knows, whatever it is. But he's back now. Many of you know that. And he's back, and he's better than ever. And this is actually his first time here on Z Show. I'm looking forward to speaking to him. So with that, and without any further ado, let's welcome him to Z Show. Ian, good to see you, man.
Mic check. What's up, Z?
5x5, good
chat.
sir. 5x5.
Has been an interesting journey. Good to be here. I went to bed at 6:30 last night so I could be here in time. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
You hear that, guys? Ian, that's one of the disadvantages of me doing such an early broadcast, relatively speaking. There's positives to it. But one of the disadvantages is anybody in those Western time zones, it's quite early for them to catch my show live. And as you know, the live component is what attracts many of the listeners. The participating in the chat, the communal aspect of it. It's not just about watching it afterwards for the information. People want that real live experience. One of the downsides of streaming early, but there's positives to it also. I like that morning vibe for myself, so I'm kind of sticking with the morning thing. But either way, man, I appreciate you kind of waking up early and coming here, man. I was
of course.
looking forward to it.
Good to be here. Interesting. Yeah, it was an interesting journey when you came on the channel through Brian back in those streams. It's cool sometimes looking back at those. Good times for sure.
It is very interesting, man. I've seen some of those. I've gone through some of that archival stuff, and interesting. The link really was through Brian Stavely, man.
Yeah, once I did that stream with him, I think I reached out to him, and he emailed me back. Once I interviewed him, yeah, that's when the dynamic changed a little bit on the channel.
I remember I found you. I was just going through my subscriptions, and just Stavely said, "Oh, I'm going to be on this channel. I'm going to be live in 10 minutes, or I'm live now." And it was your channel, and I clicked over, and it was you doing the panel thing. So let's talk about you, Ian. How did you come to this point with your channel, with your content? You do the panel thing, much like many of us, I call it the panelverse, man, the trutherverse, whatever you want to call it. But there's a certain style of YouTube broadcasting that incorporates these panels. Not everybody does it, but the ones who do it share a certain commonality, but we all do it a little differently. How did you go from starting your channel to the panel format that we see today?
That's an interesting question. I think it was always my goal. When I decided to start a YouTube channel in December 2019, I received a Google Chromebook or something. Doesn't even work anymore, but and it said start a YouTube channel. So right at that moment, I was thinking of a name. So my first name was We Are Awake News, which changed to We Are Awake TV a couple years ago or last year. And my goal the entire time was to have a community and have discussions and things like that. That was always my goal. That's where I always wanted to end up. So once we got there, to where I would share the link. Actually, Flow State was the first one to ever join my panels a couple of years ago. So
Wow.
it just kind of happened. I think I was watching people like Bro Sanchez, one of my favorite channels. He would have panels and things like that, and I really liked what he was doing. So it just kind of happened. It wasn't really, but that was my plan all along, to have discussions and things like that. But moving forward, I'm going to be changing it up, doing different things. I have a lot of plans starting today, actually. After I joined your show, I was going to be streaming a lot more and doing different things and more things with just me and what I think about things, which I haven't done much lately. So I'm going to be doing a lot of things starting today.
I think, I'll be looking forward to that, man. And I think a lot of people will, which is interesting because that probably, I'll just speak for myself, man. Like, I have my show, obviously, but one of the main things I focus on is bringing me to the forefront in my show because for a number of reasons. One, it gives me an outlet to express myself in a creative way. But two, I realized that it's probably beneficial to become less dependent on other content creators for my content. Meaning to say, when I look at other people who do these panels, I see a lot of people are highly dependent on the people who show up on the panel, right? So they may have a really great show if the right people show up, but maybe one day it's a little sparse, they're not getting the response, and then you see people scrambling for content. So I make an active effort to be able to bring a show where I'm at the forefront, man. And I'm wondering if you're kind of like maybe embracing that maybe a little bit more in this, this iteration of We Are Awake TV, since your break, where maybe you're going to bring you're going to highlight yourself as an element, which I think is maybe something, from what I could tell by your old content, something that you were into more. And it seems like maybe you're kind of maybe wanting to get back to that, but I don't want to speak for you, but we're definitely going to look forward to that, man, in a lot of fucking ways.
Yeah,
I have some
sure.
people. Yeah, I have some people in the back. If you're in the back,
Yeah.
just hold. I'm going to talk to Ian for a little bit. All right.
I want to speak on the flat earth thing because I was watching the thing with Steve. I'm definitely a flat earther. I don't know if the label or something just rubs me the wrong way in the name. I don't know. But I definitely represent, I'm anti-globe, and I definitely represent the flat earth in many places. And I've, a lot of people stopped talking to me because of it. And, family dinners, things like that. So I'm definitely a flat earther, but something about the title of it, just, I don't know, something about it. They always create these goofy vibe titles for things like that. It's just where I stand with that. But
Yeah,
but I was
man.
watching that. I thought you did a great presentation. I really liked it.
I appreciate that. For me, what it is, Ian, is that I'm realizing that first I'll say I'll agree with you about the title of Flat Earth. It's divisive in a reason. It's one of the reasons I embrace the title. So my mindset is, it's almost like it takes the power away from it. It's like say if you have a gay person and you call them the F word, right? If you then, as a gay person, embrace the word and say, yeah, I am an F word, whatever, you then take the power away from the people. So to me, it's almost like ironic in a sense. It's like, okay, if you want to say flat earth is a bad thing, I'm a flat earther. Label me, I'll embrace the label. And it's another way for other people who resonate on that topic to identify me and each other. So, but I do get where you're coming from. There's a pejorative around it. And, but where I am in it, I've come to the point where I realize that, at least here on social media, because I'm a flat earther, that puts me in a very particular category that I'm not going to be able to escape. So I've decided that rather than trying to put it on the shelf or just obscure it, I'm going to jump full in and say, you're right, I'm a flat earther. I'm just going to go with it. Also, it's what I'm most passionate about right now. The reality is, Ian, I may get to a point at some point where I go, okay, I did the flat earth thing. I have it all archived. If you come to my channel and you want to hear the flat earth thing, here's the playlist. You can listen to me for 100 hours go off on flat earth. But I'm not there yet. I'm still in that phase where I want to talk about it. I'm motivated to talk about it, and I'm doing so. But I will agree with you 100%. It is quite a divisive topic. There's a huge division right down the line with it, and it does pigeonhole one in a certain category when they embrace this. I've seen other content creators move away from the topic because they've seen the division and they realize there's a certain demographic of people that you will never reach if you are embracing the flat earth moniker, so to speak. It's going to push people away, and it might prevent them from embracing some of the other topics that one might be discussing on their channel. So any content creator, and I don't mean you, Ian, I'm just speaking in general, who chooses to kind of maybe, let's say, distance himself from the topic, I can understand that. Like Thunder Chicken says, I'm not a flat earther, I'm a geocentric cosmologist. And again, I appreciate that. I used to call myself a geocentrist too, Thunder Chicken, and that's an apt description, but I've decided to embrace the flat earth term. So my friend like Joe from Effed Up World, who's here, who I respect his content tremendously, he says he's a proud flat earther. He's in the same mindset as me. I'll embrace it. I'll say, you want to put the label on me? What's that Eminem song, Ian? I am whatever you say I am. And if I wasn't, why would I say I am? It's like, okay, you want to call me all these fucking things, call me these things, I'll jump right into it. Now I've just disempowered you. I've just taken all your power away. But I appreciate you bringing up the topic and kind of clarifying. And I knew that about you, Ian, just about the things that you've said, the people who resonate to your channel. We see Dave there, not Flat Earth Dave, Sovereign Dave is at your channel. I think people who really know you and your content understand that about you. But I get it. If it's something that you're not highlighting because you see a division there, it's quite understandable, dude.
Yeah, I definitely not gonna do that. I definitely don't try to shy away from it because of sometimes when we're in conversations and it gets derailed to certain topics, I might try to change it up a little bit, and because I know where it goes. But yeah, I love Bro Sanchez is what made me become a flat earther, and watching all of his debates a few years ago. I discovered him in like 2017, and I've probably seen almost all of his videos. I'm a big fan of his. I sit in the background and I've learned a lot from that guy. So yeah, I love flat earth debates. I love those. I think they're great.
Yeah, it's a fascinating topic, man. Like I had a guy, my friend Rocky Shepard in the chat this morning. He said, it's an old topic. And he's right. I mean, we're going on now 7 or 8 years where this has been a continuing topic. So it is completely fascinating. But there's a lot of topics, man. You seem to be also interested in the Mandela effect quite a bit, which was probably the thing that brought me to your channel, was your interest in the Mandela effect. You don't see at least a lot of these panel-verse communities really focusing on the Mandela effect. There's plenty of channels that do so, some more prominent than others. You seem to be quite interested in it. Maybe bring us into that world a little bit. How did you get interested in it, man? And just what's your experience been?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Mandela effect. I'm actually going to be doing a big stream on the Mandela effect and going through all of them again because I want to fine tune my skills because at work in different places, I'm now asking people questions about the Mandela effect and just going up to people, asking what they think about, these different ones that, like Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, all these ones that everyone knows. And it's like 100% say it the wrong way. And you can see a difference in them. Like you see like a light bulb went off. So I want to revisit these and fine tune all these different ones when we talk to people because it's a great way to wake people up for sure. The Mandela effect. So I don't know where it started, just being involved in conspiracies and things like that and seeing people talk about it. And one of my first streams on my channel was me and Svetlana talking about the Mandela effect. So I don't even know how I discovered Brian. You know what it was? It was, what was his name? Who interviewed Brian Staveley. I forgot his name. Ben the Spoon or something. What's his name? I don't even remember. Anyways.
Okay, yeah, I'm familiar with that YouTube.
It's my
name.
favorite topic. Yeah. If I had to choose one topic for something that's just mind blowing and just can't explain, it'd be the Mandela effect all day. I love it.
Well, let's get into it because to me, I'm fascinated in a similar way, man. Because to me, it speaks to the very fundamental nature of this reality, right? It goes to the core metaphysics of what this place may be. Like you do a series in your channel. I think it's what is this place? Is that the name of the series
Hmm.
you do? Because it gets to it. What is this place really? Okay, so let's just get into it. Fine. Some people don't like the topic, Ian, which is fine. If you're not into the topic, maybe just sit back and listen to us talk about it because I'm certainly fascinated. But when we say what is this place, what does it mean? When we look at certain phenomena, I always point out to people, phenomena are things that exist. They just are. So you take a phenomena like the Mandela effect, where people have a memory of a reality that no longer exists. Something has changed in reality. Now, people will say it's a memory issue, but to get back to what Ian was saying, to call it a memory issue, I think is disingenuous and off the mark because, like Ian said, if you say go into a grocery store right now, say you go into your local grocery store or Walmart, you shut the doors and you go around, you interview 100 people in that grocery store. 100 people will give you the same wrong answer, or 99% or 98 out of 100. If you say to people, spell Haas avocado, they're going to tell you it's Haas. And then if you bring them to the produce section, you say, look, here's a Haas avocado. No, it's spelled Hass.
I want to say something about that real quick, the hospital, because I've been in food and beverage since I was 15 years old. I've been the executive chef for years. I've been the sous chef. I did one place I worked for 12 years. I did all the ordering for 12 years, created order guides, involved in seasonal ingredients, produce, the whole entire thing for a big place, gigantic place. And it was always Haas avocados, HAAS. Like, I wish I could get back to those order guides I used to have, but I mean, I was very in tune with the seasonal things and like now it's the time of year to get Haas avocados or these or whatever. Yeah, that was a big one for me, man.
That's a huge one, man. There's so many. We can go down the line. I mean, there's so many, man. All the stuff in Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates. Everybody will say life is box of chocolates. It was always apparently in this reality, life was like a box of chocolates. Nobody would ever say was. Why is that? The point is to say it's just a memory issue is not proven by demonstration because everybody has the same wrong memories. So to me, this points to a metaphysical aspect to this reality because they tell us, Ian, that we live in a reality they define a reality for us that's physical as such. They give us a standard model of physics where they talk about particles, okay? Where they talk about things as existing, that they give us a reality where matter existed before consciousness. I constantly talk about this. They tell us everything was formed by a big bang, where nothing became everything, and that despite the law of entropy, where things basically go from more complex to less complex through happenstance and accident, and that over billions and billions of years, the earth was formed, you were formed from a single cell amoeba, and then you evolved into the human being that you are today. This is the story they give you. They give you a story that at some point, the consciousness that we all experience just at some point evolved, that we developed consciousness, that consciousness sprung from the gray matter soupy mess that's contained under our skull. Let's juxtapose that story to what is evidenced in reality. If we're seeing a reality that's fluid and shifting, if we're seeing a reality that appears to be able to change in front of our eyes, that flips the script on that entire story. To me, that evidence is a reality that is consciousness. And I always say this, to me, consciousness appears to be the overarching reality. And the world that we experience as physical is very likely just a manifestation of the consciousness. You see, this discussion of the Mandela effect that people think is frivolous actually gets to the very heart of our existence here in this world. because it is indeed evidence that this reality is less physical as such and more a product of our consciousness, and that indeed we may be participating and co-creating this consciousness as we move on, man. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that topic, and then we could bring it anywhere you want.
That's where I resonate the most with the Mandela effect is we could be kind of shooting from our hip with our manifestation powers and changing our reality, which I think we're in total control of this as a collective. It's just a bunch of people manifestation coming together at once. You know what I mean? And I think that we are changing the reality, but we're just not aware of it. Once we have the awareness, then we're not shooting from the hip and all this, you know? So I definitely don't want these topics like flat earth and Mandela effect. You search these on YouTube or wherever, you always get these goofy videos that come. They don't want you paying attention to this. They don't want you to think you're in control of the reality, you know? So yeah, what's causing it is a fascinating question, but I definitely think it's us that's causing it. I don't get this evil vibe with it. Some of the things are so subtle and not hurting anything that it has, you know, that it's not, it doesn't seem like a negative thing to me, for sure.
Right. It doesn't seem to be scary. That's one of the good things about the topic too, to bring people into it, because I've learned through the flat earth thing. When you talk about the flat earth topic, it cuts to the very core of people's identities, and it triggers very strong emotions often during discourse. Mandela effect topic does not seem to have that same effect on people. They seem to be able to handle the conversation a little bit more, which I think is a nice foray for people into some of the things that we discuss and some of these topics. So I appreciate that. Like this guy in the chat says, New Age geeks. I'm going to say something about what's termed as New Age. Things that are termed as New Age, if you really investigate them, are the topics and ideologies of the New Age actually are some of the oldest understandings that you can find in recorded history. You only say New Age typically relative to a biblical construct of reality, so you call it New Age. The reality is the thoughts, the ideologies of the quote New Age are the most ancient on earth. You can look at the ancient the Vedic cultures preceded by the Aryans. You can look at the Sumerians. You can look at some of the old tablets and writings that were carried into Egypt, which was the land of Chem, which appear to be post or pre-Diluvian, which means pre-flood knowledge. The things that people conjecture as New Age are actually some of the oldest writings that we find on this earth, plain and simple. Your thoughts on that, Ian? Because obviously, well, I'll say this. Often when we have people who come from a biblical construct, they present these things as New Age and goofy, and I try to show them the Bible that you follow, the scriptures in Genesis appear to be retreads, retellings of older stories from these New Age-like cultures that people don't want to look at. Your thoughts, Ian?
That's a great point. I always point out to people. It's actually technically these religions that they man created are actually technically New Age, and you bring up things that are way older than the Bible and ideas, and people will call it New Age. It's just another programming, with these different things. It's like people have this governor in their minds; they automatically just start flipping out, even with the flat Earth, and people start talking about the globe and space, like family things, and I would bring it up. You see my whole family turn against me immediately. And it's like I'm this enemy and they're all like attacking me and like bullying me. It's like, what the hell? It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy also Bible changes with the Mandela effect. That's something I want to get deep into and focus on that, because I remember a lot of things going to church and things like that. Like, isn't the word trespass and trespass is not in the Lord's Prayer or whatever it is anymore, right?
Yes, it's
and
now
I remember
in the
that
sentence.
Seeing my family like repeat that, and everyone in the church, and those words I remember more than any words in that whole prayer. And for those words not to be there, that's mind blowing.
Right. Trespass, I believe, is now included in the sentence following the prayer. So there's the Lord's Prayer, and they include the word trespass afterwards, to my knowledge. when you get into the Bible changes, man, it gets deep and heavy because there's so many of them. To me, my primary Bible change is wineskins to bottles. Okay, so there's a verse where it says it's they make it there's an analogy to placing new wine into old wineskins. That's gone now. They say bottles, which makes the verse completely nonsensical because it talks about bursting the old wineskins when you put new wine into it. Because an old wineskin would be made from, I used to have when I was young a I guess you can call it a canteen that would hold liquid that was made out of like leather or some kind of, like animal flesh that was sewed together, but it would hold liquid and you could put liquid in there. That's what a wineskin is. If you used old, like degenerated or degraded wineskins and put new wine in it, it would burst. So that scripture makes sense. It's now bottles, which makes no sense because an old bottle would not burst. Right? So now you have these changes that literally make no fucking sense whatsoever. And people who've studied the Bible for a long time can attest to these changes.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you think about it, it's like at some point these words changed. Did it all do it at once? Did it do it here and there? Imagine the people reading the verses as it, right? You know what I mean? It's like, it's mind blowing to think that. And people like to throw out the internet and the new version. We all know that that's a bunch of mumbo jumbo. You're talking about old ass books hundreds of years ago, the words changing. I mean,
Right.
that's the hottest topic for me.
What I find, Ian, is what people will do is you'll see them enter a state of cognitive dissonance and confirmation bias. And instead of addressing these topics, they'll do everything they can to justify their paradigm. So they'll just do everything they can to explain it away. They'll say, oh, the Bible has many interpretations, but they won't look. They won't look at the different interpretations. They won't look at the original writings, how things might have been translated. Or they'll say, oh, well, things are digital now. And they'll just do everything they can to pacify themselves intellectually and emotionally, because it's too hard for many people to embrace the things that you and I and others like us discuss in these communities. Maybe let's talk about that a little bit. Like you said, you brought up certain understandings that you have to your family, and in many ways it created conflict. We find, many of us in these communities, that when we espouse certain understandings that we have, it creates a division, it creates a separation. It creates a problem in our relationships, whether they may be, quote, romantic relationship or just friendships, family relationships. What is it about it that people, what is it about it with these people who choose to reject even the topics and then even engage in an emotional response that's often shows fear, anxiety, anger? What is it about it that triggers these people? My theory is that it gets to the very heart of their identity, because if you embrace some of the things that we've embraced, it challenges you in a fundamental way. I think they can't take the challenge. And I think to preserve their identity, they fight and they respond emotionally, man. You said this has brought problems in your life. It's brought problems in my life, man. What do you think it is? And then the flip side of it, because it also builds community. We come here and we find people that resonate around us. And if you want, maybe focus on the positive side of it, because it's easy to get caught up in the shitty part. It actually creates friendships too, like all the lovely people I see in the chat and even the conversation that you and I are having. Let's get it, because Ian, I imagine there's a lot of people listening to us who are experiencing the same thing you said. They go to Thanksgiving and it causes conflict. They've lost relationships. It's not just about flat earth and Mandela effect. It's truth in general, or your conception of truth. Truth seems to have consequences. The consequences of truth are manifest in real life. And I want to hear your experience with that, man. I'm very interested in it. You're muted.
My bad. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know what it is, but with people. But yeah, I definitely it created a division with me and my family in a lot of ways. But someone like my mom, who I'm really good best friends with, love her more than anyone, I just don't touch on certain topics anymore. Sometimes I can't help myself, but I just to preserve what we have, because I've seen where we won't talk for months and things like that. I was like, say my truth, and it's like hang up on me or something, and it's something very mild, like the Mandela effect or some big lie she's believing or something. And I just learned to just push it to the side and not even go there with some people. Some people, I don't care who you are, I'm going to speak my truth. I'm going to say that's bullshit and give my opinion on what you're talking about. But other family members, we literally, since I brought these things up, total division. I don't know what it is, but it's some deep programming that they worked on since the beginning of time with us in school and things like that. So some people, it's just never gonna. I think it's some governor in people's minds that they have. So when certain topics are brought up, they just get in a certain mode and they just can't. No matter how much facts you give them or something that they should. It's like if someone told me this, I would be looking into it. I would consider it and have an open mind, no matter what. But a lot of people, they can't do that, so it's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. It's funny you say that because I've taken that same approach in my life where I've discovered that to interact with people in a functional way, like your average normie, you really can't bring these topics up. Or if you do, you need to do so carefully, maybe plant a seed and move on. And maybe that's what we just need to do is plant seeds and move on because of the conflict. But you're right, man. We're the ones who need to take the higher road in these. We need to be humble. We need to be the ones who say, okay, it doesn't have to be about us being right. It doesn't have to be about us trying to wake somebody up. Like the name of Ian's channel, We Are Awake, And I know some people get into the word magic of awake and wake and dead. Let's get beyond that, people. Ian, are you tired of the fucking, slicing up and word magic people? We can maybe discuss that next, but let me just finish my topic here. Is that we are the awake ones, but we're under no obligation to try to wake somebody up. And the reality is it's probably an aggressive move to do so. It's like taking the sleepwalker and trying to jar him awake. It's probably going to do more harm than good. It's not our job. Their journey is theirs and our journey is ours. We can influence people likely with our behavior and how we model good behavior as opposed to trying to convince somebody. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say one point I want to make I see with some people with certain beliefs and things like that, and they don't want to consider certain things and have an open mind. I believe that sometimes people are on a specific journey, and if they were to consider things or change their minds on things, maybe they would be off a path that they shouldn't be on. So I think some people have belief systems, and I just think, well, maybe that's a part of their journey. And if they were to not believe in this or have an open mind with this, maybe they wouldn't be on that journey. So maybe subconsciously they're kind of being controlled to no, you're not going there. And maybe at some point, we're just planting seeds anyway. So maybe it'll grow at some point. But I think some people are on a specific journey and there's nothing you can say or do. It's like they got to go through it. And so.
Right. That's the question. Can we, the proverbial we, relinquish control? That's a huge thing. Is this tendency to want to control things that are external to us. And as one matures, one tends to realize that there's very few things in this world that are under our control. The main thing that we can control is our internal space as much as we can. That's probably the journey. Their journey is theirs alone. So yeah, man, I'm the same place, man. When I interact with people, I just keep it all above board, man. I try to keep it positive, good vibes. I try to meet them where they are, recognize boundaries, not only their boundaries, but my own, and realize their journey is theirs. They'll come to these things if they're supposed to come to these things. They may not be meant for it. That's another thing, Ian, is that, first of all, who are we to think that we know what the truth is, that we can define the truth to then give to somebody? There's a level of hubris and arrogance there that probably should be avoided from any of us. But two, maybe it's not for them to know these things. Maybe there's a reason that these truths were hidden and occulted throughout time from the average person. A lot of these things are hard to handle. They're very difficult. Ian, as far as I know, you don't have any kids and you don't have a family. I don't either, right? Let's juxtapose that with somebody who has 3 kids. They have a job, they have a mortgage, they have a wife, they have standing in their community. How realistic is them for even mentally, cognitively, emotionally, and psychologically? How realistic is it for them to open it up to some of these things that Ian and I investigate? It may indeed shatter the very foundations of their reality and lead to real life things. Maybe they need that mental barrier. Maybe it's not for them to approach these things. This is sort of where I am, Ian. That's why I'm not blaming people. I'm much less judgmental towards the average person because I realize the realities of living in this existence, okay? You have to have provision. You have to have resources. You have to be part of a community. The things that Ian and I resonate on in many of these communities, because of their divisive nature, they set us out. They bring us away from the collective community. By nature, they do so. When you become separated from the community, your very survival is at stake. We exist as social creatures, communal creatures. There's real life impacts of being ostracized by your community. You may be part of a religious community, you may be part of another culture, etc., etc. For somebody to embrace and then espouse these topics can be quite consequential in their life. I don't blame people anymore, Ian. If they want to live, if they're choosing to live in their status quo, if they're choosing the fantasy, if they want to ignore these certain truths out of necessity, I think I'm okay with it, Ian. I've come to a point of resolution there, man. And I want to hear your thoughts. And I do have guests in the back. Please hold. I'll bring you up when the time's right.
Yeah, man, I'm here. I'm chilling. Yeah, it's a tough one. I think there's a line though. Sometimes I can see people like, dude, they tell me like, Ian, bro, I love you, man, but I have a family and this. See, I understand. I completely understand. But then there's a line where people, I don't know. You can't deny the truth though, man. I don't know. That's a tough one. If I had kids and a family and all that stuff and more, like you said, probably wouldn't even be here right now. So it is what it is. But I do understand families and things like that totally. But I think you can balance the both at the same time. You can't be completely oblivious just because you have a family and not. So I understand.
All right, let's start bringing some people up.
Yeah.
All right, so the first person I have in the back, Ian, interestingly enough, is one Mr. Caged Reality.
Oh, wow.
He decided to pop up. I met Cage on your channel. Many of my first interactions with Cage were quite lively and spirited, So hold on, real quick. This who me in the chat says Zetetic Warrior. I respect you for not banning me yet. Well, here's the thing: if you have to say that, who me, if you're saying that to me, why are you behaving in a way where I would even need to ban you? That's what I'm saying. You can come here. You could disagree with the topics here, and I haven't even been able to read all your chats. You can disagree. People say to me, "Oh, anybody who disagrees with you, Z, you're going to ban." That's not it. But if somebody's going to come here and just straight troll me, I'm likely going to ban you. And you'll probably make a sock account. I'll have to ban that, and we'll get into that game. But it's weird that you would say you respect me for that. Because, are you behaving in a way where I should be banning you? Because maybe that's not respect worthy on my point. Ian, what do you think about that? Where people come in? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I just want to get on record real quick because Snafu was on Steve's stream with you guys bringing up this Mexico alien thing. I thought he was really muttering the waters with that. That whole Mexico thing where they came out with those little alien bodies and things like that.
Yeah.
That was from a ufologist who was involved with Ancient Aliens production, was involved with many hoaxes and fake news and fake evidence of aliens. Do the research on the group that brought that out. It was a total hoax. I just want to put that on record,
Well, here's the thing, Ian. I mean, guys, if anything mainstream that's being presented to you, it's always going to be through the lens of their agenda. They
Right.
have to present us the alien thing. There's too many strange phenomena that happen in people's lives. They have to bring you the conspiracy theories, but they're always going to do it from their let's say controlled operative perspective. They have to do it. That's what controlled opposition is. People aren't that dumb. They have to give it to you. People see weird things happen in the sky. They have to try to give you their version of what it is. It's just the way it is. But let's bring up Cage, because Cage, let's bring this thing full circle, because I met Cage on Ian's show, and now here he is. Cage, what do you have for us this morning, good sir?
What's up, Cage?
Hey guys, how are you? I'm just
Howdy.
here. I'm
Howdy.
listening. I have so many different things I can get into with what you've been saying. You know, from the short period I've been listening here, but it depends. What do you want to get into? I don't want to, go off on a tangent here.
Well, let's get into you, because I know, Cage, we can talk about the electromagnetic world that we live in. We can talk about Malkuth, which is a word you introduced me to, and I'm fascinated with it.
That's Kabbalah, right?
Right. We can talk about Malkuth, which is the kingdom of matter, but I'd rather talk about you, Cage.
Well, Malkuth is it's actually translated really to the kingdom, meaning like the material kingdom, the world, this physical world we're living in, represented by the red.
Right. Fair enough. But let's talk about you, because we're here with Ian this morning. I met you on Ian's channel. How did you come upon Ian? How did you stumble into the We Are Awake community?
Same way I found everything else. Really, I actually was never on the internet at all. Just for business only until around the whole cough lockdown nonsense. And then from there, I realized that people are online. All you got to do is you type open panel, or you type panel into the YouTube search. And if you go to filters and you go to live, it'll pull up, whoever's doing a live stream. So I just randomly found people because I wanted to know what people are experiencing, because I obviously know the media is nonsense. I know they're going to give a bunch of bullshit. So I'd rather go and investigate and see what the people actually have to say about it, instead of what they're trying to push on to me. So how I got into the internet thing was to see the real news, see what's actually going on, instead of that, sensationalized bullshit they push onto, everybody. So that's how I got into it.
Good for you. Good for you, Mr. Caged Reality. That's probably how many of us came upon these. It's weird how we've all sort of filtered into these communities. What do you guys think? Because I'm noticing that whatever algorithms that they're using have placed us into a particular echo chamber. When I go to these different channels in here, we're seeing the same people over and over again, and we're kind of Ian, I'm looking to escape the echo chamber for multiple reasons.
Can I go on to that?
Are you just going to cut me off, Cage, on my show? You know I love you. Go ahead, Cage, please. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry for that, Z, but I've actually been pondering that myself, right? How come we're all connected into this stuff, right? And there's even people that live very close to everything. Why I think it is, I think it's done very purposefully, right? They've already categorized and put us all into a little bubble, and now they're letting us interact in that bubble or that cage, and it's kind of restricting people in a way, inadvertently, when you think it's their own choice, right?
I don't think it's a victory for them. I think it's a victory for us.
No,
I think there's
is.
something
You
energetically
can
going
flip
on
it
with these
around,
different communities, even the fuse and things like that. We're all stuck together energetically, and new people are coming along. I think we're creating something special we don't realize. I think it's a great thing. I think it's the best way we can combat what's going on.
Interesting point. So you're seeing it from the other way. You're saying, look, this is like the cream rising, so to speak. You're seeing a bunch of people from all around the world resonating in a certain way that's kind of coming together. Let's talk about that, Ian, because although I can agree with you, we see a lot of conflict amongst these communities. Obviously, with some of the past that you and I have had, we can look at other, let's say, metaversal friends that maybe we see some of these kind of beefs with. If indeed we are resonating so much, What is it about the division? Is this just infighting? Are we just looking at infighting amongst a group, almost like how a family would fight? And or do you see it? What's your take on that? Because
It's
I can
done
agree
Oh
with
by
yeah,
what
I
you're
want
saying.
to. I'm
It's
glad you
done
went
by
here.
design. Ordo ab chaos. Ordo
Oh,
No,
Dawn
it's
Cage, I'm gonna let you up.
so
Don't
when
go
I came
anywhere,
back,
Cage.
you know,
Relax.
one thing people got to notice is I might have looked a little foolish, but it's a sacrifice that I made coming back the way I did. I had a totally different plan,
I understand
and
what you did, Ian. I
but
understand your mindset. Go ahead.
but I just want to say when I did, what happened? What really happened? Forget about what I said and all that in the stream and when I came on OTWs. What happened after? OTW stopped getting punked like a little bitch. Mr. Gossip Boy stopped gossiping. It's like everyone just went on this it was this little ripple that I sent, and everyone kind of got in line a little bit. I wasn't, you know, I felt like that's what I needed to do. But if you really look at how things change, it's it. I think it was great.
Yeah, I can see that, man. I think there's two sides to it. I think that one as a content creator has to like judge how they how they're going to behave in certain situations and kind of make your move and go with it. Always realizing that there's room for pivoting and things like that. But you know what I see? I think that as time goes on, the ones who are in this, like for the real, are just going to keep pursuing with their content. They're going to keep being creative and they're going to go. And then I think what's going to happen is a lot of these issues will just naturally resolve as new topics come in, as new people come in, as the landscape in the world changes, as the landscape online changes. I think many things will just kind of progress. People will develop their audiences because the reality is we all bring something very unique and distinctive to this endeavor. We don't really need to be at each other's necks in terms of audience. Okay, we're all unique enough, and if we're confident enough in what we bring and our intentions, we should be able to pursue through these things. And I think that's kind of what's going to happen. Is as we go, you're going to see less and less of this. Part of me, Ian, thinks we're going to look on back on these times as like the good old days, man. Because if the world keeps progressing in the way it is, Z, We Are Awake TV, OTW News, Paul Unslaved, we all have integral key roles to play in this world. Our voices mean something. I look at this community as something very special. It's not frivolous to me, Ian. And when people say stuff like, oh, you guys take this too seriously, I say, no. Who else but us is bringing this information? Who is bringing us truth without agenda, without a mainstream supported spin? Why do you think they're so hell-bent on keeping us in these echo chambers and shadow banning us and keeping us out of the algorithms? This isn't just bullshit. So if we believe in what we're doing, we are going to persevere, and we will progress over time, even if it's slowly. Each of us has something special to bring and unique to bring to these conversations. The division at this point is tired. It's played out. There's enough division in the world where we don't have to fucking be at each other's necks. Now, we can call each other out on things. We can hold each other accountable. But to destroy each other is that. Because to engage in battles with each other, we just weaken each other. We weaken the community. I don't think the listeners are even interested in it anymore, Ian. I think the listeners are over it, man. I think they're fucking ready to move on. I think we're ready to move on. Now, we'll see where things go. But I think if we keep ourselves in a limited mindset, we're doing not only ourselves a disservice and the listeners, but we're doing the truth a disservice, whatever that may be. I think these things are going to pan out naturally. I think as the world continues to come apart at the seams, if that's what happens, not fear porn, you're going to find that these communities are more and more important as time moves forward. Okay. Of course, there's fun and games. There's always an entertainment component, but I think the listeners want more. I don't think they're here for the fucking bullshit. And like I said, I think it's going to move. Let's bring Cage back up. I don't want to just shelf him.
Yeah, I like what you said.